Hello? Is someone there? Oh my gosh, how long have you been here? I didn't know anybody was still watching this channel. Hey, since you're here, let's talk about Justice League Dark Apokolips War, which is the awesomest way to poorly end the DC Online animated universe. Hey everyone, Yan Zhao back again. Thanks for sticking around at this channel. I can't believe anyone's still watching and subscribing. Let's talk about something a little bit more fun than the current plague situation, Justice League Apokolips War. This is kind of a sad time because DC has decided to retire this iteration of the DC Online universe. Now, DC has had fantastic animated shows since I think about the mid 2000s. I can't remember the first one I saw. Well, I should say animated movies. The greatest animated show, of course, is Batman the Animated Series dating back to the early 1990s. But DC really decided to go for a slightly older audience. I would assume capturing Batman the Animated Series and the Superman and the Justice League viewers as they aged up. And they had a bunch, and then they decided to redo the whole universe with 2013's Flashpoint, where you have the Flash igniting a flashpoint that changed reality, and this sort of reset everything. And why would they do that? Most people, I'm sure, would agree it's in response to Marvel's cinematic universe. Marvel was kicking butt and taking names at that point. 2012, we had the Avengers with just gangbusters, and all the Marvel movies were making money hand over fist. You just had the Chris Nolan series of Batman movies ending, and DC was looking to start their own cinematic universe to rival Marvel's. We all know what a crap show that turned out to be, but what they did have was this incredible animated universe, which by far tops anything that Marvel's put out in the animated realm. Had a whole reintroduction of all the characters. New coming of Superman, new origin stories for Batman, and you had Red Hood, you had Hush, a retelling of all these things all over again, the death of Superman again, the forming of the Justice League, and they even brought back some old favorites. For example, Teen Titans, which was a huge show back in, I think it was like 2003, the first one, and then Teen Titans Go was more like 2009, 2010, something like that. But they brought back most of those characters in slightly different form and had a great couple of movies. And they even brought in John Constantine, who they keep trying to like wedge him in somewhere. He sort of doesn't fit into the DC universe, especially the normal superhero universe. He works a lot better when he's on the mystical side of everything. But he had a couple great movies with him joining the Justice League based on his adventure with Batman. They had one where he was trying to save souls in demon-infested Los Angeles, which I can only assume is really a documentary. But let's talk about Apocalypse. Now, DC decided, okay, this is it. We're going to end the universe. And they really decided to go out with a bang. One of the great things about this is it ties up a lot of the loose ends that you see from all these other animated shows that came before it. It mentions the Flashpoint, you've got Batman's relationship with Damian, you've got all the Justice League characters that were previously shown for a while in the early, what was it? It must have been like 2014, 2015. They were really trying to push Shazam. Never really worked out. He sort of had an absence after one or two animated shows. But they all come back, and we get to see the Fate. Now, they used the same animation style, which is very cool, a much more realistic style than we had seen for a little while. You had more of a cartoony style, which started with Batman the Animated Series, kind of like a noir, but very cartoony, and they sort of made it a bit more realistic, almost Japanimation, the more serious style that came out of it. They use this style with effect, and holy cripes is this thing bloody. You get to see all of your favorite Justice Leaguers dismembered and blood coming everywhere. Oh, it's amazing. So the basic overall plot is, for whatever reason that makes no sense, Superman calls the Justice League together and says, hey, Apokolips is preparing for an assault on Earth. We're going to launch a preemptive assault. That seems very un-Superman-like to me, but he's very insistent on this happening. And he's like, no, we can totally beat Apokolips before he gets to Earth. Okay, so what happens is you've got Cyborg, his eye, like a video camera or whatever, that Apokolips can look through and see things. Yes, very 1980s Betsy Braddock, but Apokolips gets the whole plot. He is waiting for the attack, and he just basically slaughters the Justice Leaguers. Now, the Teen Titans were stuck on Earth. But some of them survive, and they're years later, they're sort of in an underground resistance. John Constantine went with the Justice League to Apokolips, but he panicked and he teleported himself home. And years later, you have Raven from Teen Titans and Clark Kent, who was given a kryptonite tattoo by Apokolips and for some reason didn't kill him, sent back to Earth to watch everything he loved die, even though Lois was alive. They find John Constantine drinking in a bar in England, and they say, hey, we need you to locate Damian, the new Robin, Batman's son. They eventually find him, and they're like, hey, you have to go with us to assault Apokolips because Darkseid is going to destroy the Earth in the next, 72 hours or something. And we know Batman, who has been captured and had his mind broken and turned to evil, will totally change his mind for you because he loves you. And so from there, it's just picking up whatever ragtag members they could find. They end up finding the Suicide Squad, making a deal with them to assault LexCorp. Why Suicide Squad? Well, I assume DC is trying to boost the failed Suicide Squad movie and that horrible Birds of Prey that came out last year. Or was it earlier this year? Who can remember? That's basically the plot. So, assault Darkseid. Now, the cool thing was Raven's father, the demon who wanted to destroy everything. He is eventually unleashed and he gets to fight Apokolips to the end. The bad of this is all those dismemberments and killing of Justice League heroes that I mentioned. Well, guess what? They end up alive in robot forms of themselves. So you got Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Hawkman, whatever Aquaman's wife's name is. I can't remember. They're all robot forms of themselves. And of course, John Constantine, being John Constantine, he's able to use Wonder Woman's lasso to free her from Apokolips's control or whatever, and then he fights her. This is one of the big problems. John Constantine absolutely does not belong in this story, and he becomes a Marty Sue. Everything seems super easy to him. There are no stakes to him using his magic. It's not like if he uses some spell or something, he's going to risk his soul, or he's risking somebody else's soul, or anything like that. Like, he just gets drunk and uses magic that can basically do anything. He can locate hidden people, he can make them invisible, he can teleport them places. At one point, he brings Raven's father out. I mean, it just makes no sense. I like Constantine. I really like what they did with him in the Justice League Dark. I wish they were going to keep that up. But man, he's just out of place and just does whatever is convenient for the plot. Terrible. But not only do you have him coming back from the dead, you have a whole host of other characters who come back from the dead. Nightwing was killed, but Damian brought him back with the Lazarus Pit. John Constantine dies. He's brought back because of his destiny or some sort of BS like that. There's just a whole mess of other characters show up again for no reason, and it really cheapens the sacrifices that they made. And to make it worse, at the end, they have a just total reset of everything. At the beginning, Barry Allen mentions that it was the Flashpoint that started this universe, and that he doesn't know if he could trust it again or whatever. At the end, John Constantine's like, hey dude, you got to do another Flashpoint and reset everything because everything sucks now. And Flash is like, no, I promised someone who's no longer there or whatever. And Constantine's like, no, you got to do it. So Flash is like, okay. That's how it ends. Flash just goes, creates a sonic boom, and it just resets everything that we invested time and effort into for these last 7 years. And it's sad, but a horrible, horrible way to treat your fans. Now, why are they resetting it? I don't know. It's very weird. My theory is they've run out of all the classic stories. Comics today suck, and there's no new story that's really worth animating. You would think in the animation department they could have good writers actually write new stories, but they don't seem to want to do that. So we have an announcement of an upcoming Superman series done by the director of Voltron Go, or whatever the new Netflix Voltron was created. And it's going to be done in that art style too. So if you like this realistic style, well, kiss it goodbye, because you're done for probably another 7 years or so. My guess of why they're doing this is the DC movie universe has finally imploded. You have a generation of people who has maybe aged out of this animation, and they want to start and bring a new generation in, so that it's going to be more cartoony. Now, part of the other thing that they announced is that they want a more diverse DC universe. Now, the question is, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're going to keep bringing in characters like Blue Beetle, like different what would be ethnic minorities into these roles, or does that mean you're going to promote minor characters, or are you just going to race or gender swap characters that already exist? Like, will Superman now be Asian? Will Wonder Woman be black? Will Batman be Eskimo? I mean, who knows? Who knows? At any rate, to wrap up this review that has gone on too long, is it a good watch? Yeah, if you enjoyed past 7 years of DC animated stuff, it's a nice send-off. It has some nice ends to story arcs, and it was done fairly well, but in the end, you'll be disappointed that it ends in this way. Thanks a lot for sticking with the channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.